Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Voting underway in Sri Lanka's parliamentary elections. 17 million voters to elect lawmakers for 225 seats with 8,800 candidates in fray. Joe Biden meets US President-elect Donald Trump at White House. Trump picks Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. Marco Rubio proposed as Secretary of State. Campaigning for assembly elections in India's Maharashtra and Jharkhand in full swing. Leaders of various political parties holding multiple rallies. Prime Minister Modi to address rallies in Maharashtra today. And in sports, Paris authorities ramp up security ahead of the France versus Israel Nations League clash on Thursday. Voting for the parliamentary elections in Sri Lanka is underway with varying turnout reaching 25% in certain districts at 10 a.m. Over 17 million voters are eligible to exercise their franchise as the island elects 225 members to the parliament under Sri Lanka's proportional representation system. 196 members will be directly elected across 22 constituencies. The remaining 29 seats will be allocated based on each party's overall share of the island-wide vote. The election became necessary as Sri Lankan President and National People's Power Party leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake dissolved the parliament on 24th September to clear the way for the general election, days after the Marxist-leaning leader was elected president on a platform for change. A rigorous campaigning season ended in the US and the nation elected its next president, Donald Trump. Outgoing US President Joe Biden and President-elect Trump met for a traditional transition meeting. DD India's Antara Sinha gets you more on how it unfolded.
A much-anticipated meeting between US President-elect Donald Trump and current incumbent Joe Biden. Trump was warmly greeted by outgoing President Joe Biden as they shook hands in the Oval Office. The meeting was part of a traditional transition meeting. That didn't happen in 2020. In a way, Biden was seen restoring a tradition that Trump broke when he refused to recognize his 2020 defeat against Biden. The meeting comes after a confrontational election campaign in which Biden dropped out following his disastrous debate performance against Trump.
Well, Mr. President-elect and former President, thank you. Donald, congratulations.
Thank you.
And looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So
good.
Welcome.
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Joe.
You're welcome.
The pair also discussed the Ukraine and West Asia conflicts. Biden argued support for Ukraine was good for US national security, as a strong and stable Europe would keep America from being dragged into war. While Trump has pledged to end the Russia-Ukraine war quickly. The two American leaders sat side by side before a roaring fire in the White House Oval Office, a peaceful scene that belied tensions between them. Antara Sinha for DD India.
As US President-elect Donald Trump prepares to take office for his second term, he has announced a series of high-ranking administration positions. Let's take a quick look at the early picks. Trump announced that Susie Wiles, one of his two campaign managers, will be his White House Chief of Staff. Tom Homan, the former Director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement during Trump's final administration, will lead the border security efforts. Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik and staunch Trump supporter would be his ambassador to the United Nations. Former Congressman Lee Zeldin will oversee the Environment Protection Agency. aligning with Trump's energy policy reforms. Zeldin, a staunch Trump ally, served in Congress from 2015 to 2023. Fox News host Pete Hegseth, a veteran of the Army National Guard, has been appointed as Secretary of the Defense. Congressman and former Army Green Beret Mike Waltz will be advising Trump on national security issues with a particular focus on China. Trump named tech billionaire Elon Musk and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, a former Republican presidential candidate, to lead a newly created Department of Government Efficiency, while South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, known for her strong stances during the COVID pandemic, will head the Department of Homeland Security. John Ratcliffe, former Director of National Intelligence under Trump, has been named the CIA Director. U.S. Senator Marco Rubio is expected to become Secretary of State. The senator has in the past advocated for a muscular foreign policy with respect to U.S. geopolitical foes, including China, Iran and Cuba. Trump has Matt Gaetz, a U.S. representative, to be his nominee for Attorney General, and Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democratic representative and critic of the Biden administration, will be Director of National Intelligence. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on Wednesday nominated former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard as his incoming Director of National Intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard has questioned the credibility of U.S. intelligence and denounced successive presidents over military interventions. Now, she has been asked to serve by Trump and lead the U.S. intelligence. Here's a report ahead.
She is a leading Hindu figure in U.S. politics. Her father, born in American Samoa, continues to serve in the Hawaii State Senate and remains a Democrat. Gabbard's mother embraced Hinduism and raised her children in the tradition. Gabbard's first name, Tulsi, is a sacred plant in Hinduism. She is a lifelong vegetarian and swore her oath to enter Congress on the Bhagavad Gita. Gabbard got married in a Hindu ceremony to a Hawaii-based cinematographer, Abraham Williams. She is an ardent supporter of India's popular Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Like few others in US politics, Gabbard defies simple party categorization, a war veteran who denounces war, a Democrat turned Republican, and now an establishment skeptic sent to head part of it. Gabbard has direct experience with war, having served in Iraq with the Army National Guard of her native Hawaii. In 2022, she announced that she was exiting the Democratic Party. Her strident tone led critics to believe she was auditioning for roles in a future Republican administration. This view was reinforced when she appeared beside Trump in his latest campaign and announced she was becoming a Republican.
U.S. Senate Republicans elected John Thune on Wednesday to lead the chamber next year, opting for a well-regarded insider and shrugging off a public pressure campaign by supporters of Donald Trump to pick a loyalist to the president-elect. The South Dakota senator's victory is a sign that the Senate could retain some degree of independence from Trump next year, when Republicans will control the White House and possibly both chambers of Congress. Republicans will hold at least 52 seats in the 100-seat Senate and are on track to retain a thin majority in the House of Representatives, where several races are yet to be decided. At a news conference, Thune said that he would aim to confirm Trump's nominee quickly and work to help him cut spending and bolster border security.
We have a mandate from the American people. A mandate not only to clean up the mess left by the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda, but also to deliver on President Trump's priorities. We will make sure that the President and his team have the tools and the support that they need to enforce border security laws and to remove the violent criminals who are wreaking havoc in every one of our states.
The Republicans were declared the majority party in the U.S. House of Representatives on Wednesday, completing a clean sweep of Congress and the White House in last week's elections and handing incoming President Donald Trump vast legislative power. After more than a week of the counting of votes, the channel CNN and NBC projected that Trump's party reached the 218 seats needed to retain their majority in the 435-seat lower chamber, having already seized the Senate from the Democrats. Having control of both the chambers of Congress clears the way for Trump to confirm his nominations for key administration posts. Also, after the vote, the U.S. Congressman from South Carolina, Joe Wilson, and others recited the Pledge of Allegiance and congratulated the House Speaker on the majority.
Congratulations to Speaker Mike Johnson for his achievements of the passage of critical legislation in the House and his leadership in maintaining the Republican majority.
U.S. President Joe Biden and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping arrived on Thursday in Lima for an Asia-Pacific summit. Saturday's face-to-face would likely be the last encounter before a potentially tougher U.S.-China relationship under Donald Trump. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan announced that discussions will address rising tensions from Taiwan and the South China Sea to China's role in stemming fentanyl ingredient flows. Biden also plans to confront Xi on China's suspected involvement in hacking U.S. officials' communications, as well as China's support for Russia's actions in Ukraine and North Korea's troop presence in Russia. Now, this marks their first interaction since an April phone call aimed at easing bilateral strains.
What President Biden will communicate is that we need to maintain stability, clarity, predictability through this transition between the United States and China. And he will also really reinforce the point that in order for us to manage this competition responsibly going forward, we have to sustain over the long term the channels of communication at every level, particularly the military-to-military level.
On to updates from West Asia now. Israeli forces have launched fresh strikes across southern and central Lebanon again, carrying out at least 4 airstrikes on Wednesday. The Israel Defense Forces said that it further expanded ground operation in southern Lebanon as it continued to carry out airstrikes in Lebanese capital Beirut. Israeli fighter jets continued to strike Hezbollah targets in the southern suburbs of Beirut. Meanwhile, the IDF claimed destroying dozens of rocket launchers in Lebanon. The IDF also said that several Hezbollah field commanders were killed in recent airstrikes in southern Lebanon. The exchange of fire came as right-leaning members of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet expressed support for President-elect Donald Trump's latest picks for his incoming administration. Israeli new Defense Minister Israel Katz said that the IDF will continue their offensive until all or Israel's goals are achieved, and that he would not agree to any Lebanon ceasefire that does not ensure a disarmed Hezbollah withdraws north of Lebanon's Litani River. Katz, who became Defense Minister last week, made the comments during his first visit to the Northern Command. His comments came as Lebanon wanted to hear Washington's latest ceasefire proposals after a U.S. official expressed hope that a truce could be reached.
We will not make any ceasefires, and we will not stop and will not take out foot off the pedal, and we will not allow any arrangement that does not include achieving the goals of the war, which is disarming Hezbollah, withdrawing it from beyond the Litani River, and mainly creating the true conditions for the residents of the north to return to their homes safely.
Meanwhile, Hezbollah said that it launched a drone attack targeting Israel's military headquarters and Ministry of Defense in the city of Tel Aviv on Wednesday. In a statement, the Lebanese militant group said that it conducted an aerial attack with a squadron of exploding drones on the site housing Israel's main defense institutions. In a statement, the military said it had intercepted 2 drones and 40 projectiles launched from Lebanon in attacks that caused no injuries. Hezbollah and Israel have been at conflict since late September, when the Israeli military escalated its airstrikes on Lebanon and sent ground troops across the border. Flights to Bali resumed on Thursday after massive volcanic eruptions at nearby Mount Lewotobi Laki grounded air travel. On Wednesday, Bali's airport saw 83 international flights cancelled when the volcano sent a 9-kilometer ash plume into the sky. It disrupted plans for thousands of travelers. With conditions now improved, Qantas and Jetstar have restarted the services with 6 Jetstar flights, 1 scheduled Qantas flight and 2 delayed flights resuming. However, the airport's general manager reported an additional 32 cancellations early on Thursday, though most flights remain scheduled. Labuan Bayo, another tourist airport near the volcano, has also reopened. The Volcanology Agency reported more ash and lava from the Levotobi overnight, but ash is moving away from Bali's airport. The volcano has erupted more than a dozen times over the last 2 weeks, killing at least 9 people and forcing the evacuation of thousands. Ever thought about climbing stairs and overcoming all obstacles while sitting on a wheelchair? Well, technology and advanced engineering have made it possible. Find out how in this report by DD India's Antara Sinha.
The human spirit is one of ability, perseverance, and courage that no disability can ever steal away. At present, technological advancements and innovative engineering has led to major enhancements in the lives of those who are specially abled. South Korean researchers have reinvented the wheel, quite literally, with a shape-shifting morphing wheel that could allow wheelchairs to climb stairs and navigate rocky paths.
The technology we have unveiled is the first of its kind. Allowing the wheel's stiffness to change in real time, our wheel technology enables smooth traversal.
Engineers at the Korea Institute of Machinery and Materials have developed what they claim to be the world's first wheel that changes its stiffness in real time depending on the situation to allow wheelchairs and other mobility devices to overcome obstacles with ease.
기존의 휠 같은 경우
Traditional wheels are designed to retain a rigid circular shape for stability on flat surfaces, which limits their ability to overcome obstacles. However, our wheels maintain its round form on flat ground and softens only when navigating obstacles, which is its major distinguishing feature from conventional wheels.
The morphing wheel shifts between rigid and soft states, offering stability on flat ground and transforming into a flexible form when encountering obstacles without needing complex machinery or sensors. Using a smart chain block on its outer edge, the wheel can tighten or loosen in response to the terrain, much like how increased surface tension stabilizes a liquid droplet's shape. The research team sees vast potential for this wheel in a range of applications, from personal mobility devices to industrial robots. Antara Sinha for DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrives in the UAE to strengthen bilateral ties and enhance cooperation.
We are doing a deep dive into security dynamics in the Indo-Pacific region and also what this means going into the future for India and its rising position in the world.
The Quad has now become a foundational block within the Indo-Pacific, and the Biden administration has continued that momentum. Now, I don't see Trump Part 2 walking away from that, again, because it's something that they helped to resurrect.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Let's get to more updates. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Brazil's Rio de Janeiro on the 18th and 19th of November to take part in the 2024 G20 Summit. India is the founding member of the grouping of the world's largest 20 economies and was instrumental as last year's host in getting the African Union, comprising 55 nations, full membership during last year's summit in New Delhi. DD India's Gautam Roy has put together this report to show what's in store this year in Rio.
Leaders of the world's 20 largest economies, along with the African Union, will be in Brazil's Rio de Janeiro for the 2024 G20 Summit. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also be participating in it as the leader of the world's fastest growing economy.
The visit to Brazil is for the 19th G20 Summit that's being held on the 18th and 19th of November. This is the Prime Minister's third official visit to Brazil. This particular G20 summit is also going to be a very special summit because it will be the first time that the African Union will take its place in the G20 grouping.
India's G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant has told DD India that the PM will be playing a constructive role in taking New Delhi's G20 agenda from last year as host forward. He will also help Brazil pursue its objectives of eliminating hunger and poverty, sustainable development and reform of global governance institutions forward, with emphasis on global economic growth and sustainable development.
The Prime Minister will focus on a range of issues concerning the global South, and the challenges relate to driving growth, balanced, sustainable, inclusive growth. And the challenge is that the global growth is slowest at the turn of the century.
Let's understand what is G20. This will be the 19th summit of the G20 leaders, a grouping which came together after the 1999 Asian financial crisis. Finance ministers and heads of central banks of member countries met in the following years. In 2007, when the global financial crisis hit, the grouping was elevated to the level of heads of state and government. The first G20 summit took place in 2008 in Washington, D.C. G20 statements and decisions are non-binding upon members and follow a consensual approach. Over the years, the G20 has gone beyond financial matters to also deliberate and act to achieve sustainable development goals and further the cause of global peace. Last year, despite tremendous challenges, the New Delhi Declaration was brought on the first day of the summit with consensus on the Ukraine conflict. This year, while this conflict remains unresolved, the West Asian conflict has come up as another formidable challenge.
This will be a complex issue. There will be many more challenges. We struggled with it. We did about 300 hours of negotiation on one para of Russia-Ukraine. We failed 16 times but arrived at a consensus on the Russia-Ukraine war. Where even the United Nations has not been able to arrive at a consensus so far.
The upcoming change of guard at the White House could also become a factor during the deliberations due to President-elect Donald Trump's MAGA agenda, which is centered on high tariffs and climate change denial. Despite the challenges, the grouping has been moving forward, taking incremental steps to resolve differences and take collective action in multiple spheres through the years. It is hoped that even this year, progress will be made in Rio to benefit the earth and humanity. Gautam Roy, DD India.
Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrived in the United Arab Emirates on Thursday for an official visit. Taking to social media platform X, the Consulate General of India in Dubai said that the visit aims to further strengthen bilateral ties and enhance cooperation between the two countries. The visit comes amid the strengthened relations between India and the UAE, marked by frequent high-level exchanges and the signing of a comprehensive economic partnership agreement in 2022. Campaigning is in full swing for assembly elections in Maharashtra and Jharkhand, with senior leaders of various political parties holding multiple rallies and roadshows in the two states to garner support for their candidates. Prime Minister and senior BJP leader Narendra Modi is set to intensify BJP's campaign in high-stakes Maharashtra by addressing public rallies in Sambhaji Nagar, Panvel and Mumbai today. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari will address public meeting in Dharashiv, Solapur and Sangli. On the other hand, leader of opposition in Lok Sabha and Congress leader Rahul Gandhi will be campaigning in Nandurbar and Nanded today. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge will be campaigning in Igatpur and Pune. NCP SP Chief Sharad Pawar is going to campaign in different constituencies in Pune. Maharashtra will vote in a single phase on November 20th, with counting of votes scheduled to take place on November 23rd. There are 288 assembly seats in the state. Delhi residents woke up to thick smog and poor air quality as air quality of national capital remained in the very poor category, with air quality index of over 400 in many areas. Authorities urged residents to limit outdoor activities, especially the vulnerable groups such as children, elderly and those with respiratory conditions. Many locals donned masks as a precaution and relied on air purifiers indoors. In sports, the French police officials have ramped up security ahead of the Nations League match between Israel and France on Thursday. Ahead of the match, protesters took to the streets in Paris on Wednesday, decreeing the upcoming soccer match. Some 4,000 police personnel will secure the event, which will be also attended by French President Emmanuel Macron. The authorities have increased security following violent clashes between locals and Israeli soccer fans in Amsterdam last week. Police officers will be deployed at Stade de France and across public transport networks. Israel coach Ran Ben Shimon said that he hoped supporters would still turn out to watch their match against France despite the security concerns.
Prepare my national team to the best possible way of playing against a very strong national team of France, the best we can. I hope as much as we can, and I hope also so that people from the Israeli community around here will come to see our national game.
All right, with that, we end this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.